The world faces no security threat greater than the prospect of a nuclear-armed Iran. We must make certain that the prospect never becomes a reality. A nuclear Iran would menace, intimidate, and ultimately dominate its neighbors. It would be virtually impervious to any type of pressure from the West, whether regarding its support of terrorism or its crushing of freedom and human rights at home. And it would touch off a nuclear arms race in the Middle East that would shred the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty and almost inevitably lead to catastrophe. And worst of all, Iran might actually use its nuclear arms against those it considers its enemies. The urgency of this issue is beyond dispute. Iran quite possibly will be capable of developing and delivering a nuclear weapon in the next 3 to 5 years. In our task of preventing Iran from achieving nuclear weapons capability is made more complicated by the fact that we all know that our best weapon for fighting this battle, economic sanctions, takes time to work. So we need the strongest possible sanctions, and we need them fast. That's why I support this motion to instruct. The House bill, H.R. 2194, the Iran Refined Petroleum Sanctions Act, is a good, strong measure, and I and my fellow conferees will fight for it in conference. We will also work with the Senate on measures to help Iran's brave dissidents circumvent regime efforts to block their communications. The gentleman from Florida, our colleague from Florida, will speak about an additional provision with respect to state decisions to disinvest that we want to include in this conference report. And I want to send this bill to the President by or before the May 28 deadline proposed in the motion to instruct. This bill, along with the Senate bill, has already done much good. In recent months, in anticipation of our sanctions becoming law, several major energy companies have ceased selling refined petroleum to Iran. Others have announced they will not make new investments in Iranian energy. They are making the sensible choice that our bill encourages, choosing the U.S. market over the Iranian market. More will make that choice when our bill becomes law. Meanwhile, our bill is goading other nations to intensify their efforts to achieve a sanctions resolution in the UN Security Council. And our own executive branch is getting the message that Congress is able and willing to take the grave matter of sanctions into our own hands. April 30th will mark 1 year since we first introduced this sanctions legislation. Since then, Iran has increased the number of its working centrifuges and reached the one-bomb equivalent level in its stock of low-enriched uranium. It has enriched uranium to 20%, a big step on its way to mastering the process of producing weapons-grade uranium. It has installed advanced third-generation centrifuges. It has been caught red-handed building a secret reactor near Qom, which evidence suggests could only have been intended for bomb-making purposes. And it has announced plans to build 10 more reactors. Iran is in contempt of the international community, and I had hoped that a UN Security Council resolution requiring tough sanctions, following immediately thereafter by additional muscular sanctions imposed by the European Union, would have happened by now. I know the administration is doing everything possible to bring that result about. Unfortunately, we are now nearly 4 months into 2010 with Iran on the verge of nuclear weapons capability, and a UN Security Council resolution remains an uncertain prospect. We cannot wait any longer. I reserve the balance of my time.